all the time.
Sure.
Just like everything else, inflation is a factor.
Yep. Hey, let's
But
take
the-
a quick break. I'm
Sure.
sorry to interrupt you. If I don't, they pull my seat out from underneath me. So we're at Truth for Seniors, and this has been so rich. I appreciate it. We're talking with David Mose with Assisted Senior Transitions. We're going to be right back for the final segment, and so we'll take that break now. And we're back. This is Truth for Seniors, sponsored by Steen & Company at protectyourlifesavings.com. If you're just catching up with us, we're talking with David Mose, who is with Assisted Senior Transitions. And, I always love chatting with you. You always bring something new, and you always bring really good information. So in the final few minutes that we have today, I know that you have some personal experience with family member, needing care, and also the fact that sometimes people think of a nursing home in a negative way, and sometimes it is a better level of care, but everybody wants to stay at home. And so maybe you can share a little bit about that.
One of the ways I learned my first lessons about senior care was because my own mother had dementia. And I kept her in my home for 10 years. And she
Wow.
progressed to the point where she really did not know much more than the names of her children.
Wow.
It was getting sad towards the end. I also learned at that time, as I started looking around, that finding a place that could care for her and the costs of doing so, it's a daunting
Prohibitive, yeah.
it's a daunting task to find the right place. I also, though, did business reorganizations for a long time. And so I understand planning. I understand finding the weak spots in everybody's budget and being able to stop the bleeding, as they say, and redirect so that they have a better grasp on reaching their goal. So I bring those two things. One's emotional, I have to tell you. It's
Sure.
very emotional.
Sure.
The other side is a little more cut and dried. Get the sharp pencil out and budget what can be done and what can't be done.
A little more logical. So that's a great combination to me, to be able to bring, that's reality, and to be able to appreciate where somebody's at, I think it really does add something. And I know in my own case, we have my mother-in-law in our home, my father-in-law is at the VA home, and we've had just a lot of effort gone into making sure that we give them the very best level of care. And my wife is pretty much a full-time caregiver, in that process, and bless her heart, she does an incredible job. And but when people can understand from a personal standpoint what someone's going through, to me, they're a better advisor. And I know your background, like you say, lends to being able to pinpoint things and maybe fairly quickly get right to the heart of the matter and then provide solutions.
And in that, I have to also say that this is the most fulfilling work I've ever done.
Really?
It gives me the opportunity to help families, and at the end of the day, get a hug from a family member or the senior themselves,
Yeah.
because they're so happy the problem's been solved without much pain.
Yeah.
Because it can be very painful if you don't have guidance.
Yeah.
But that makes my day. And at the end of the day, then I can relax, watch a basketball game, and be happy.
Well, isn't that really what life is about? I mean, finding people where they're at, leaving them in a better place than you found them, and having some personal satisfaction.
Right.
To me, that's...
And in that process, it ends up that my clients come back to me for other advice later in the process. As we
Sure.
mentioned earlier, it's not a stagnant moment in life.
Sure.
It doesn't continue the same needs today, maybe different tomorrow. And those families come back to me, and I try to help them through that.
Well, we've got about 7 minutes, and before I forget, because I just might, how do people get a hold of you?
The easiest way is to call me at
Okay.
559-750-8787.
Why don't you repeat that real quick?
559-750-8787.
Okay.
I'm also available at DMOOS at assistedseniortransitions.com. And then all of my contact information, of course, is available on the website, which is
Sure.
also assistedseniortransitions.com.
Perfect. Okay. So you have been a great help to me and my clients, but in the last maybe 5-6 minutes, I'm just kind of curious. You've got a great experience. Where do you see things going with this, what I call this perfect storm of boomers and unpreparedness and bigger needs and things like Obamacare, cutting Medicare, cutting Medi-Cal, and people not being able to afford these things? Just kind of curious your thoughts.
Well, we have to first start with that same thing we mentioned a minute ago. About 2/3 of the baby boomer generation does not have the planned asset acquisition and preservation to be able to take care of themselves.
Sure.
Then we have to see how are they going to be taken care of. Well, as we know, Medi-Cal really only takes care of you when you reach that last moment of your life, when
Yep.
you're in skilled nursing.
Yeah.
And that can be for a few months or most often not more than a year or two
Yeah.
by the time you reach that point. It's the time before that that
Yeah.
becomes difficult. And right now in California, there is nothing available to you unless you have planned for your own and make
That's right.
your own monies
Yeah.
available for yourself. Now, that may change. I do see a lot of movement now in Congress with people talking about how they want to address the problem. But then the issue becomes, how much is it going to cost? And for the
And where's the money going to come from?
Exactly. And have you seen them make a compromise on any of those things in the last couple of years?
No.
Well, the only advantage is that the baby boomer group is also the highest voting group.
Yeah.
So seniors tend to
that's
vote every
good
time
point,
they get
yeah.
a chance. The younger people don't necessarily, unless they get motivated by somebody like they did in Obama's first run,
Sure.
where they all came out.
Yeah.
Because of that, there's a chance that Congress is going to be scared into doing
Yeah.
something to try and help it. But even under Obamacare, you're correct that they're squeezing Medicare and Medicaid and Medi-Cal in order to make funds available to get care to everybody in
Sure.
the sense of medical care. By the way, some doctors aren't accepting it because the prices are so low
Just
that they
had the
won't do it.
conversation today with one of my physicians
Yeah.
in a checkup, and a lot of people are being let go. A lot of physicians are actually being let go of these networks, not because they chose to, but because that's what's happening. And so your choices for caregivers and who can provide that care are being reduced.
They are.
Lessened.
And it's based upon the amount of money they're receiving for the care they're giving you.
Yeah.
If you have a private insurance company, they're going to pay $40 for a particular procedure. Under Obamacare, that physician that's taking that insurance that's being issued right now may be only getting $20 for that same thing.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense to them financially, so some of them are pulling out of the system entirely.
Exactly. Yeah. And right now we have, one of my physician friends told me that there's many of the specialists that aren't taking Covered California at all,
Right.
and people get stuck, My own personal, I've shared this before, but my own personal health insurance premium went up 151%.
Yeah, and that's not uncommon.
And that's not uncommon. Well, most people are not even going to be able to have the option to afford that. I certainly don't want to do that. But at the same time, you look at, there is now an even greater difference in the level of care
Yes.
that people will have, available to them. And so, well, listen, you always are so informative and so good. And I just want to make sure that people know that, in my opinion, one of the first phone calls that you should make, folks, when you start to realize that your loved one's going to need some help, some assistance, is to assist senior transitions, because as you've heard, and if you didn't catch the whole show, we'll make it available again, but to know that you have a resource that can give you a great evaluation and then inform you of your options and places to go and know all those places and save you probably 100 hours or so of your personal time trying to figure out what's best, that's huge, you know?
It's
So-
probably the best service I give is the savings of time.
Yeah.
And secondarily, the saving of peace of mind.
Yeah, absolutely. So thanks again for being with us. You have just made my day a lot better and shared with me a couple things that I didn't know. And so this is Truth for Seniors. Again, find us on Facebook and like us and follow us, and even more so, provide your input if you would. The comments on our blogs and at truthforseniors.com, Google Plus, and all the different places that are out there. I'll tell you, there's too many to name now, but we're out there. And thank you all for your participation, your comments, your feedback. This show is about you and what you want to hear about and what you need. And so thanks again, and we're going to sign off. We'll see you next week. I'm Greg, Senior Host. This is Truth for Seniors. Have a great day.